Good morning to all esteemed higher education leaders, all the distinguished speakers, all the forward-thinking delegates here. It's a great honor for me to stand in front of you to share some of the insights as a technology company has been in the market of higher education for 10 years now. And I also want to thank Elets Media for bringing us all together. It's such a great opportunity to meet and share ideas. We are still fortunate to meet with a lot of higher education leaders, universities, partner with many universities, and been building solutions for them, seeing many challenges, right? So higher education is constantly evolving. We all agree that the recent pandemic has shifted our mindset of how we deliver education to the world, right? So in that aspect, I have a few important pointers that I like to humbly submit and invite your thinking also. This slide, I will share a QR code in the end so you can download it. So you don't have to take screenshots. I will give you this completely to you. You can use it and you can come to our booth and we will share more information also. So for now, let me, with your permission, share some of the experience that we have as a higher education technology company. Creatrix Campus was invented because of these challenges, right? We look at the higher education. We can, if you're focusing on academic technologies, right, purely on academics, we have this areas of student life cycle, we call it, right? And then we also call faculty life cycle. Then we have areas to focus on institutional effectiveness. And then you have your assessments, right? But mainly, most of the universities that what we have seen is focus a lot on the student life cycle because that's where most of the users are. What we do as universities, we see a problem. Say, for example, we want to we are having issues to get more students. We are focusing as a country, we're focusing on international students. So we will try to strengthen our CRM admission solution. So we buy an admission software. And then there will be a lot of pressure from the compliance department to get your MQA certificates, your assessments right, or your international accreditation. Then we go buy a software just to deal with that. Then that comes with, every university need a learning management solution. So we buy an LMS solution, learning management solution. Then we go on buying software to handle exams and assessments and things like that, right? So an IT department, sometimes universities have their own IT department, build the solution whenever there is a challenge comes. There's a problem with this solution that we are having today. And that's what we identified 10 years ago because we had fortunate moment to work with some of the top universities in the world that they were buying many solutions, but the data is not in one place. So if a faculty, somebody's handling with the faculty would want information of students, they don't have it, and student data is not going to the management. So that was putting them at a limbo. They're not able to take a decision faster, right? So you can see, I'm not listing all of these things. These are all the solutions that we need when we're trying to scale the university, make the university more efficient, make the university more student-friendly, yet it's an unfortunate truth that we have witnessed, and there are research to back this up. If you were to look at the stakeholders of the universities, the largest account is students, right? What is the next largest account in the university? Faculties, right? But they are the most ignored stakeholders because tools and technologies for the faculties are seldom focused by many universities. But we wanted to address that. And then recently, about 10 years now, we have been changing the way we are assessing the students, right? We have shifted to learning outcomes. competencies, or if you are in the medical section, you have medical competencies, competency-based medical education. So the systems that were built 20 years ago or 10 years ago, they were not equipped with this type of integration, where a student technology is not talking to the faculty technology is not talking to your learning and teaching solutions. And we put together all of this information, your research information, your inventions and things like that. And we need to submit an information to your accreditation body or a compliance body. And that's a nightmare for many of the universities, because we don't have the data that is in one place, but then the minute we get the data by a lot of efforts with your Excel sheets and things like that, the data is not accurate. So if you are a person who's handling to institutional effectiveness, you're trying to get your MQA or you're trying to get your international accreditation, it's a very big task for them. It's a very challenging task for them, right? So if you are a university leader and you have a strategic plan for the next 3 years to 5 years, do we have a technology to put your strategic plan, say, I want to increase my student count by 10%, I want to increase the faculty efficiency by 20%, student happiness by 20%. So you can put, I want international students count go by 20% by the next 2-3 years. You build a strategic plan like this, and you put it on a technology to track it, and you assign those KPIs to different people to handle it. And that technology should talk to your assessment system. That technology should talk to your learning system. That technology should find how successful your students in your university, right? Today, I am not seeing many of the technology that has that integration, right? Unless some of the universities have built it by themselves. So because of that, we depend on a lot of data issues. Data is sitting in silos. We have a cost increasing because to bring those data, we put a lot of manual people, right? And that increases our cost. That reduces our efficiency. We are facing challenges with the vendors. It is, because the data is sitting on an Excel sheet on somebody's email, many of us are not realizing the security threat, because some of the informations are so personal, and we don't want that data to be sitting there. Some of the countries, like in Europe, we have a GDPR compliance. So they're very strict with the data, how you handle it. So when we work with the university in Europe, we have to follow through several compliances. And we have to prove our data security, not only the data security, even our physical office security is handled properly, right? And Singapore has a data security, and even Malaysia does. But it's yet to come popular as other countries, right? So we want to avoid any unfortunate events where the data is shared on the internet, that you lose your identity. So, and these are all the disadvantages by having multiple systems, right? As you can see, we have, for example, we want to propose, a professor was talking about curriculums proposals, right? When you're trying to be a good university, when you're trying to be a university that is effective for the society, we have to stay current with the industry, right? We constantly change our curriculum. So when we try to change the curriculum, there is a proposal to change a new curriculum. There is a proposal to modify the existing curriculum. There is no workflow today. It's all done, many universities do it manually, right? We are not bringing the industry experts together to collaborate in the technology. I'm sure we're doing it on manually, or we're doing it with your technology that's available. I'm talking about a technology that is integrated, where somebody is raising a request, say, I want to propose a change to this curriculum. And that is viewed by multiple leaders and approved, and the whole collaboration is happening in the technology itself. When that is done, we publish a catalog of curriculums. And when that curriculum is published, it goes to your website, right? It's a lot of manual effort right now. That's what I'm saying, there is an inefficient workflow. When there is inefficient workflow, when there is no, we are talking about digitalizing, we're talking about automating, we are also talking about transforming the universities, right? The transformation is missing in many places because technology is yet to transform a lot of things. We are hardly digitalized, we are halfway through automating, And I think we need to work hard towards transforming. So that's why we're trying to partner with the many universities to see what as a technology company can contribute to make this possible. So your students are more successful, your faculties are very happy, and in the event, the administrators are able to take good decisions. So we're missing opportunities. We are not able to scale as fast as we want as a country, because the country depends a lot on the education, right? All the grown-up country, the educations are better. So the universities are the backbone of the country, because you produce research, you produce innovations, you produce good students, and that's what makes the country very successful. So agility is important, where we have compliance risk, which we talked about, security, and comparative advantage. When I say comparative, right now, there used to be a time that we were competing with only the local universities. We were only focused on 2 or 3 universities surrounded by us. But right now the focus is like student can study. If I can sit here in Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur, and I can study anywhere I want to. Now we are globally competing, and that's a fact we must accept, that we are not only competing with your university next door, but we're also competing with all over the world. So technology plays a very big role for that. So anyway, we get employees frustrated because they're put into employees. I mean, if you focus only on faculties, they are good at teaching. They want only to do teaching because they love teaching. But if you ask them to produce data, if you make them do a lot of technology effort, they're not very happy. And we must address that, right? And that leads to a frustration of employees. And for example, let's say you're not able to track their success, their research, their innovation, their patents, their, how they're teaching, what's their workload. If you're not able to see as a leader sitting in a dashboard, it leads to frustration. And they might not have the same energy to teach or contribute. They might leave us, right? So when technology are inefficient, when a student is not able to take care of their, if he's not able to see his progress properly, or he's not able to do an assessment properly, and we are not able to intervene before they failure, as in the student success program, we might lose a student. And there was an university in India, has about 50,000 students, and we were talking to the university, and they were losing almost 10% of the students. 10% of the students is not a joke, because 50,000 accounts for 5,000 students in a year, leaving that university not happy. So that's a big challenge. So we were able to address such things using technology. So I want to talk about student success and faculty satisfaction, and then we have time, we go to institutional effectiveness. In the student success, for example, imagine we have a technology. In the technology where we are able to take the student from the day one, when he submits your inquiry on the website, and all the way until he graduates and gets a good career, right? For career, we may have a separate software. What we do, we build a portfolio for the students automatically, because we know all the data, it is handled from the day one. Their learning outcomes, their graduation, their certifications, all the extracurricular activity that they've done, they can track it on the system. So when an employer comes into the system, they will be able to see their portfolio. Today, if you were to build a dossier for the faculties, quickly in a single click, say for example, an university that you collaborated outside Malaysia, let's say United Kingdom or United States of America, they're looking for some of the profiles. We will not be able to do it on a single click, right? Imagine you're having a system that allows the faculty to track all their information, including their KPIs, including their research, their publications, the different patents they've received. We can go and click, the information will be ready, right? And bigger universities, right? The bigger universities are hiring more faculties, which day by day, the right faculties are hard to find. We have all over the world, we are finding that faculties are not able to, we are not able to find good faculties. So the only way to do that is technology, right? When you know if the faculties are, what is the demand from students? What are they trying to study? If you give students a proper tool to plan their future, the career path, their academic path, you will be able to determine 6 months from now, 1 year from now, what kind of faculties you need. So you can plan better, right? In the learning and teaching experience, we built curriculum management, curriculum mapping. You can do your program outcomes, learning outcomes, and map them with all of your assessment. Because sometimes we do all the curriculum mapping, but the assessments are not mapped. We built tools and technology, given ability to faculties. They can be creative with their own assessment. They can modify their own assessment. We have given them power to do such things. And they can choose not to. You can have one unified assessment also, right? When it comes to institutional effectiveness, we need a proper scheduling system. We need a proper strategic plan tool. We need a proper accreditation management tool. We want to be able to see which course is performing better, which program is performing better, where the student outcomes are better. We need a learning analytics, right? And we want to be able to see which faculty is admired by your students. We need a feedback system, a proper feedback system that integrates with everything. We cannot do that with the Google Forms, because Google Forms will collect the survey, but it will not tell what happened 5 years ago. We need a tool that compares your faculty performance at the past 5 years, 3 years, which department is performing well. So we need a lot of data, a lot of analytics, right? I want to introduce you a new concept. I'm sure most of you are aware if you're in the technology field. So with seeing all that, we did not want to build a product. We wanted to build a platform. 10 years ago, we took a decision that we will build a platform that can change as the market changes, right? A platform that's very adaptable. Because of that decision, we were able to work with about 20 countries until now. We were able to quickly adapt to the market, understand their local compliances, understand their assessment patterns, understand how different things like local certificates, local reports for the government and things like that. In Malaysia, you have PTPTN, the scholarships and things like that. So localizing becomes so easy for us, right? And also, we were able to bring the innovation that we learned from other universities. We work with universities like Oxford. We work with the university like National University of Singapore. You know, we work across the nation, across international. What happens is you are collaborating without knowing you are collaborating. So we're bringing that best experience. About almost, I think, 18 months, we are learning about Malaysian market. We're working with the university professor is here, UKL. We learned a lot. We have customized, they partnered with us. And then we're also working with Dr. Chinmay is here. So we're working with him as also. So we understand Malaysian market now. So we are able to, help you better in that. The platform that I'm talking about is called No Code, Low Code. This research is supporting that many decisions today, not just in higher education, also in other industries, people are not going to buy individual product. They will be buying a platform like this because it will save a lot of cost. It will give you a lot of agility. Because if you want to modify something, if you want to bring in a new report, you want to adjust your workflow. Some of the things that I might say, it's very technical. But if you are not following me, if you can put your hands up and tell me that I will explain better. So it will address better because it's faster to modify, adapt to the needs of the university, right? I'll skip a few of these things. Right. Let's talk relevant of student first. There are universities that we worked. What happens is where a university has 10,000 students, right? When there is 10,000 students, we have a different type of students. We have graduates, we have PhD people. The way you handle the student life cycle for a regular student versus a PhD student is completely different. Some of the things are common, but where the research is focused on theses and things like that, you need a life cycle, an automated life cycle for thesis management, right? On the other hand, many of the universities, one of the professor was talking this morning, universities need more revenue, right? How do you get more revenue? If you look at the balance sheet of the universities, if a university is focused only on the student fees, it's very difficult. You are not going to be very competitive. If you look at the universities that are successful, they have multi-source of income. They have funding coming, they have research money coming, they have money coming from consulting, they have money coming from student fees, they have money coming from alumni. So there is various source of income. What we lack, some of the universities, is we don't have that strategic vision and we don't have a technology to track it. So when we build a technology, when we track all that, and you assign to individual people and give them that responsibility to handle, and then things work, right? So we made sure that number one priority for universities are students. We get that, right? We automated from CRM, admission, enrollment. Students can take their mobile app, register their courses, they see their schedules, see their assessment. We built something called the degree audit, right? Where you can go and see how many more courses they need to take, how many more courses they need to complete their graduation, and things like that. Built many advising tools. We are losing students. Why we are losing students? If you look at the student advising process, right, there are a few components. When there is a student is not properly attending the classes, that's an attendance issue. If you track attendance, and if your student advising software is integrated with that, and if you're able to see that student attendance is dropping, that's one sign that the student is not going to make it, right? The second is that his participation in platforms and submitting the graduation or assessments and things like that, that's another sign. Third will be the behavior. If you're able to track the student behavior, if there are some issues, and that's another sign. So like this, you can have 5 to 6 components that you can track. The system should not be, you should not be manually entering any of these things. It should be automatically taking those input. So the student advising software will make sure it finds the people at risk early on, right? Not after the semester. Most of the time what we do, we take the data, assess it, end of the semester. Somebody, professor was saying, we are in education 4.0, by the time I get out, it will be 5.0. So like this, by the time we take the student data and analyze, they are gone and they graduated, they're working somewhere else, right? And it's too late. So we want the data now. It's like a traffic signal. So you're waiting and it's about to turn green, right? We are in that kind of a hurry. So we don't want an IT expert or an IT analyst to come and say, hey, these are all the students at risk. You as a dean, you as a vice chancellor at a higher education institution, you should be able to see that on your phone. These are all the students at high risk. These are all the faculty who are not happy. And these are all the faculties who are not, these are all the faculties loved by my students. That information should be there in your hand, right? So we want that. We want that technology. Then we take that student, guide them, build all their portfolio, get them a proper job. You invite many corporate to come, register with your system, offer jobs, place them successfully, and track their success. Then you know what kind of impact we made for the society, right? Some of the screenshots. We make it more user-friendly because our students and faculties are now used with WhatsApp, Facebook, all powerful technology. They want everything in a click. And where we'll be dealing with the technology that is very outdated. And it's a very frustrating experience, right? Now, we talked a lot about learning management, OBE, assessments and exams and things like that. When it comes to exams, some of the universities have hall tickets. They want to track the logistics, who is teaching, who is conducting the exams, and you publish the results and things like that. Some of the exam processes are very lengthy, and we do all of that. Let's slowly talk about faculties also, because I constantly bring this point, and some people like it, some people don't like it. And if you're doing a good job, I congratulations to you, but I only talk about the university that we met. Faculties, big universities, let's say how many faculties we need, what work they are doing, can we measure their workload, what kind of contribution they are doing. We are working with the National University of Singapore. They have about 18 different departments with a different type of teaching plans. How to measure all those things? Who is more effective? Who needs to be optimized? When you have a faculty of 2,000, 5,000, sometimes even 100 is very hard to manage. So managing their workloads, managing their performance. If you are a faculty focused person, that your job is to improve the faculty efficiency, and if you are giving them KPIs, if you are giving them performance measurements, how are we tracking it? What kind of assessment we are doing? Are we assessing with one person? Are we putting together a panel of people to assess it? Do they have information in their hand? Say, for example, I'm sitting there in front of the faculty. I should be having the data of their research. I should be having their contribution of how they're teaching. I should be having the data of how the students have evaluated that faculty. I should be able to see what are the extra activities that faculty has done. Has he helped with the student advising? Has he helped with the career counseling? Has he been in touch with your alumni? These are all the bigger focus of a faculty, right? We should be able to manage all that in a system like this. Okay, so with all of these thoughts, now there is a bigger challenge for all the higher education universities, right? Which is ChatGPT, right? Now the student can learn by himself, right? Because we want to embrace artificial intelligence. We want to embrace, the need of handling the student, because imagine the job of faculties. Earlier, there was Google, people tried to learn and come. Now with the ChatGPT or Google Bard, you can go ask a lot of questions, it spits all the information so relevant to us. So now we need to force our faculties to go beyond ChatGPT, because more than teaching, we are becoming more of a moderator. We are guiding the students to go, because students will learn a lot of things on their own and they will be challenging. I'm sure many of you are facing challenges. My son is only 9th grade, and he's getting bored in the class because he's already studying everything on ChatGPT, right? So the challenge is now, how do we moderate? How do we guide them to go in the right direction? That becomes a bigger role for the faculties. We cannot do that without a pattern of students, right? How he has done it in the previous semester, how he has done it in graduation school. You need all the data in one place. You need to see how he is actively participating. With that information, you can guide them better, right? Okay, I'm almost end of the session now. So basically what I want to talk about is few lines about artificial intelligence, right? There's a pressure from all the leaders to adapt to artificial intelligence, right? But to get there, we must get the house in order, right? What we need is, number one, is a proper data. If you have a proper data of your students, let us say we are trying to predict a student is coming, you want to advise the system to advise the student that, okay, you want to go into a career like, say, artificial intelligence is your career, right? We want to predict that, whether he will be successful. Somebody wants to go to data security as a career. So if you want to be a security expert, we want to be able to take his data, a similar student data for the past 5 years, and give it to the AI. And then AI will predict that whether how successful that student will be, right? We want to be able to give the data to the AI so it can predict your expenses. It can predict your student success rate. It can predict your performance of your entire universities. Right now, we are doing a lot of predictions in India and the Middle East to take the university data to see how well they will get accredited. If you are going for an accreditation, your institutional accreditation, your program accreditation, we take the data and say, okay, this is what you are roughly going to get. So you are lacking here, you're missing here, because that used to be a manual effort. We are predicting the classroom schedules, we're predicting many things, student success. So we try to predict all these things with only a proper data. So for that, keep in mind, I think we need to get the data in order. We need to focus on a single integrated technology. We need to have a strategic plan for artificial intelligence. I think these three things, if I can leave it at your doorstep for you to consider. We're happy to give you any consulting ideas, not as a partner, just a contribution to the higher education industry. We're happy to do that. We chose to be in Malaysia. We have an office here. We will spend a lot more years to come here, and we have a lot of plan for Malaysian market. So make use of our presence and efforts. And I want to thank you for listening to me patiently, and thank you, Elets, for letting me talk.